I grew up alongside Michael, my twin brother. Later, one of us differentiated into an omega, and the other into a beta. I was the omega. Our parents believed a beta child would face prejudice, so they told me to always yield to him. From the moment our differentiation results came out, I became something like his attendant. The boy next door I'd secretly admired for years awakened as an alpha. Our compatibility was exceptionally high, and naturally, we ended up married. Until the night he came home drunk, pain twisting his expression. "Why are you the omega? Why not Michael?" Esterl Miller slurred the question. Leaning against the doorway of the living room he'd turned upside down, I silently began cleaning the mess. "Why isn't he the omega? Why does it have to be you?" Esterl muttered again, sinking into the sofa and taking another drink. A sour ache spread through my chest, but on my face I forced a faint, sarcastic smile. "Trust me," I said lightly. "I wish I were the beta instead." That sentence seemed to strike a nerve. Esterl suddenly grabbed onto me, anger flaring. "Kaylin, stop acting like you're the victim. You've benefited more than anyone, don't pretend otherwise. Do you even know how devastated Michael was when you ended up the omega?" I tried to pull away, but an omega's strength could never match an alpha's. I stumbled and hit the floor hard. The world swayed. My breath came uneven, my emotions spiraling. There was no steadying presence, no comforting scent to calm the turmoil, only the familiar, unbearable pressure. My consciousness slipped. When I woke again, I was in our bedroom, covered in bruises. He was already gone. There was a note on the nightstand. "Sorry about last night, take the day off." My lips twisted. I opened the bottom drawer of the nightstand. It was filled with notes just like this one. I put the new one back in, then crawled across the floor to reach my phone. The moment I saw the time, my heart lurched. Ignoring the pain, I forced myself upstairs, changed clothes, and rushed to work. I worked at one of the world's top life research institutes. After my differentiation, my academic performance improved rapidly, while Michael's declined. Our parents blamed it all on biology, felt sorry for him, and spent nearly everything on expensive supplements for him. Back then, our family didn't have much. Because of his supplements, I received almost no allowance. For most of high school, I survived on cafeteria bread, and the free broth they let students take. Yet even with poor nutrition, I still made it into the best university. Michael only got into a technical college. He protested, of course, but the Federation had tightened regulations against impersonating someone for school admission. Even with the same face, he couldn't replace me. When I arrived at the institute, I was unsurprised to be called into the team lead's office. "Kaylin, you've been late 5 times this month. If you have an issue with your job, or with me, you can resign instead of wasting our resources." "I'm sorry," I answered quickly. "It won't happen again. This institute doesn't need people who show up whenever they like." He continued, "You won't get special treatment just because you're an omega. If you can't be punctual, go home and take up domestic life. You may leave." I slipped out quietly, and returned to my workstation. The lack of food and the stress made my stomach cramp painfully, cold sweat running down my back. But I didn't dare go to the cafeteria. I found some painkillers in my drawer, swallowed them with cold water, and got to work. The new team lead was a famous prodigy, an alpha barely 30, yet already ahead of 99% of his field. He wasn't an academician only because of his age. His brilliance was matched only by his terrible temper. Still, being assigned to his team was something like winning the lottery. I couldn't afford to fail. As one of the few omegas in the institute, I had to work twice as hard, just to stand on equal footing with alphas. I worked until nearly 10 at night, before finally heading home. The moment I turned on my phone, Esterl called. "Kaylin, do you even know what today is? Get to your parents' house now." He hung up after issuing the order. I checked my calendar, and froze. Today was my birthday, and Michael's. The moment I stepped into the house, 3 pairs of disapproving eyes landed on me. My parents, and Esterl. Only Michael didn't look my way. He chatted with Esterl as if I didn't exist. Ever since his differentiation, he'd stopped treating me like his older brother. I glanced at the dining table. Dinner was long over. Even the birthday cake was reduced to crumbs. My father frowned. "Kaylin, why was your phone off? Do you know how inconvenient it is when we can't reach you?" My mother followed up immediately. "What's wrong with you? Everyone waited for you today. You're the older brother, how can you be so irresponsible?" Then Michael extended a hand toward me, impatient. "Kaylin, where's my gift?" I set my briefcase down and changed into my slippers. My slippers were old and faded, worn almost to threads. I looked at the pair on Michael's feet, almost new, spotless white. I didn't respond to any of them. I was simply too exhausted. I headed to the kitchen to get some food, but when I opened the rice cooker, it was empty. From the living room my mother called, "Oh dear, I must have cooked too little today. You've already eaten outside, right?" I hadn't. The only meal I'd had all day was a quick lunch at the institute cafeteria. My stomach twisted sharply, complaining again, and I went pale. Esterl walked in, his grip suddenly closing around the back of my neck, firm and reprimanding. "Kaylin," he said quietly, "who do you think you're showing that attitude to? Today is Michael's birthday. Don't ruin it for him." His scent, sharp like tequila, pressed down on me, carrying a warning only I could sense. My parents were both betas, so in this house only he and I could feel it. He knew that. He used it freely. He shoved a small box into my hand. "This is the birthday gift you'll give to Michael." I followed him out of the kitchen, and handed the box to my brother. "Your birthday present." Michael opened it, his eyes lighting up instantly. "It's beautiful." Inside was a pink diamond ring, shimmering with obvious luxury. He slipped it onto his finger, and smiled sweetly at Esterl. "Thank you, Esterl." I lowered my gaze. They all knew who the gift was from, yet they insisted on making me deliver it. Was I just a prop in their little performance? After admiring the ring for a moment, Michael looked at me again. "Bro, I want to buy a new place. The apartment I rent has terrible lighting, and my roommates say things about me behind my back." He looked around with practiced grievance. My parents reacted immediately. "Kaylin, help your brother buy a home," my father urged. "You work at a top institute, good pay, stable job. You should support him." "Yes," my mother chimed in. "You just need to cover the purchase. We'll handle the renovation." A weary helplessness rose inside me. "Dad, Mom, you know how expensive property is in the capital. How could I afford that? I'm just a junior researcher. My monthly salary isn't enough to buy even a square meter." My father's face darkened. "Your mother and I worked so hard to raise you, and you don't know how to give back at all." "Exactly," my mother added. "If not for us, you wouldn't be in such a good university or job." I let out a humorless breath. "I'm where I am because I worked for it. Meanwhile, your carefully nurtured son graduated from a technical college, and now DJs at a bar." All four of them reacted with anger. Esterl's scent surged again, heavy and suffocating, making it hard for me to breathe. I clutched my stomach, pain spreading through me like someone stirring my insides with a stick. The source of my distress, however, was gently reassuring Michael. "It's okay, Michael. I'll help you buy one. Choose a location and layout you like. I'll go with you." Michael brightened instantly. "Thank you, Esterl. What a dependable young man," my parents praised. "You really put up with Kaylin and still take care of Michael." "Yes, Kaylin is lucky to have married someone like you." On the way home, Esterl drove in stony silence, his expression a thundercloud. "Kaylin, you know Michael's sensitive about his education. Why provoke him? How unfortunate for him, to have a brother who can't do anything for him, and only makes him upset." His scent lingered in the air, cold, warning, resentful. My alpha didn't love me. He resented me. I didn't know when everything had turned so wrong. He used to be kind, always smiling, patient with both me and Michael. When our parents sided with my brother after our differentiation, he was the one who comforted me. That memory felt distant now. This time, I didn't black out afterward. Clinging to what little strength I had left, I whispered, "Esterl, let's get a divorce." He turned, eyes cold, and let out a short, mocking laugh. "Don't even dream about it." He tossed a small box onto my lap. This came as a bonus with the pink diamond. "Your birthday present." The box was open. Inside lay a simple silver chain. Plain, unremarkable, just like I felt. An accessory to someone else's life. "Kaylin," he said, "as long as you behave, you'll get what you deserve." I pulled the blanket over my head, no longer wanting to hear that kind of charity disguised as affection. The next morning, I was late again, and this time, I had a fever. But the moment I rushed into the institute, I felt almost relieved I was sick. Even though I was late, the fact that I still insisted on showing up with a fever made the team leader unusually tolerant. He didn't scold me. Instead, he told me to go home and rest. "This is a research institute, not a recovery ward. You don't get paid to lie around." I really didn't want to go home. I gathered my courage. "Leader, I'm fine. I'm not trying to rest on company time, I can work." Since I refused to leave, he didn't bother arguing. He simply let me stay. That afternoon, I received unexpected news. "Everyone will head to the mountain region tomorrow. If you can't go, report to me." Then he looked directly at me. "Kaylin doesn't need to go." The excitement that had just risen in my chest was instantly crushed. I stood up. "Leader, why can't I go?" "You're sick. And you're an Omega. It's inconvenient." It sounded like concern, but it was really workplace bias. I immediately said, "Leader, I'm physically fine, and I don't think it's inconvenient." After my insistence, he gave me a blank stare, and the opportunity to join the field team. When I returned home, I began packing. Esterl learned I was going on a business trip. "That job of yours barely pays anything, working overtime every day, and now a business trip on your day off. What's the point?" The point was, I didn't want to see him. I packed faster. "I'm flying tomorrow, not tonight." Esterl didn't care. When I finished showering, he pulled me back and wouldn't let me sleep until 2 in the morning. "Kaylin, stop working. I can support you. Your job barely earns anything, and you work all the time. You're an Omega, you should stay home." My mind drifted. I felt like I was listening from outside my body, like witnessing a scene that didn't belong to me. I started burning up again. Luckily, I had set several alarms. At 7, I woke up with a pounding fever, barely able to stand, but I still forced myself to get ready. Esterl stood in the room, furious. Several broken alarms lay shattered on the floor. "How many alarms did you set?" I didn't answer. I dragged my suitcase out the door. "Hey, rest a little. What kind of lousy job makes you go every single day?" Behind me, things smashed against the walls. I knew what he wanted. He wanted me to quit. He wanted me to depend entirely on him. If I became helpless, I wouldn't dare mention divorce. He could keep staying close to Michael, under the excuse of family. My dreams, my choices, they never mattered to him. Our trip was to search for a rare alpine plant called snow jelly. It had a special affinity with omega pheromones. Our team was researching whether an extract could ease the pain of mark removal surgery. The higher the compatibility between an omega and their partner, the more painful the erasure was, and the higher the risk of complications or emotional trauma. If the snow jelly experiment succeeded, it would be a second chance for many omegas. On the first day at high altitude, most of the team suffered severe altitude sickness, even the strong alphas. Only the team leader was completely fine. A beta girl on the bed beside mine was inhaling oxygen. I heard the leader grew up in high-altitude regions. Not sure if it's true. I thought of his appearance, tall, fair-skinned, refined. "You wouldn't guess it," I said. Since everyone was down, I unexpectedly got 2 days of rest. 2 whole days. No scolding, no pressure, no fear, not even work stress. It felt like a dream. 2 days later, we began searching for snow jelly. We drew lots. And by terrible luck, I was assigned to the same group as the leader. Under the sympathetic gazes of my colleagues, I forced myself to keep up. The mountain guide led us across the plateau. Then unlucky struck. A sudden avalanche. The leader reacted first, pulling me into a sheltered cave. Otherwise, I would have been buried. But the guide was separated from us. Only the 2 of us remained. An alpha and an omega. Alone. I curled up in the corner, shivering. My fever hadn't completely left. The cold made my mind hazy again. I might really die here. The vast, silent plateau appeared in my thoughts. For a moment, it didn't seem so bad. If I died here, maybe my soul would finally be free. My body alternated between burning and freezing, then only freezing. Just when I thought I couldn't hold on, a warm hold enveloped me. When I woke again, dry and parched, I found myself in the leader's arms. His jacket had been opened, wrapped around me completely. "Water," I murmured. "No." His voice was cold. I opened my eyes. His face was incredibly close. I startled and tried to pull away, but he held me still. "If you want to freeze to death, keep moving." He looked at me. This is why I said omegas shouldn't do extreme weather expeditions. Any alpha would have handled this better. I had no rebuttal. He was right. "Thank you. You should be thanking me." I didn't know how to respond. I stayed quiet, curled up like a small bird. Then a faint scent drifted to my nose. Light, comforting, strangely familiar. I looked around. "What are you looking for?" My movement let cold air in. I shuddered. "There's a nice scent." Under his gaze, I realized. It was his pheromone. And I, a married omega, saying that. It was completely inappropriate. Heat rushed to my face. The leader remained calm. "Thanks. You smell terrible." My blush vanished instantly. Then he added, "Alpha pheromones usually repel each other. Do you have a partner?" I blinked before answering, "I'm married." "I see. My condolences." "Thanks." My marriage probably did deserve that comment, but I didn't tell him more. I couldn't stop myself from breathing in his scent. Oddly, it didn't repel me at all. It should have. A marked omega should feel discomfort around unfamiliar alpha pheromones. But the leader was an exception. A logical yet unbelievable thought flashed in my mind. Our pheromone compatibility might be very, very high. Higher than mine with Esterl. Silence fell. I drifted asleep again. I woke to noise. The moment I opened my eyes, he gently pushed me away. Rescue is here. I checked my phone. Less than 5 hours had passed. Faster than expected. A group of rescuers rushed in and immediately surrounded the leader with concern. Of course, he was practically a national treasure in the academic world. I stood outside the circle, brushing snow off my clothes. Just as I was about to follow the group out, a familiar scent drifted past me. I froze. I looked at the leader ahead, surrounded by people. Why? Was there another scent in this cave? That smelled so similar to his. Why are you spacing out? Did the cave steal your heart? Move it. He glanced back, and suddenly every pair of eyes turned toward me. I swallowed, lifted a hand, and pointed upward. I think, there's something above us. That was how we found the snow jelly mushroom, far smoother than anyone expected. A plant the herders only spoke of in stories, thriving in damp, wind-sheltered caves. Under sunlight it shimmered strangely, white with hints of shifting colors, shaped almost like a jellyfish though it was technically a fungus. No one expected our stern, intimidating team leader to have this beautiful, gentle thing as his pheromone reflection counterpart. After a week in the mountains, once we collected enough samples, we headed home. I dragged my dusty luggage inside. The moment I opened the door, I saw a stirl in the living room, with a man I didn't recognize. This man resembled Michael a little, especially the almond-shaped eyes. He looked up as I entered, startled like a deer. Who are you? Tenant. Carry on. I pulled my suitcase toward the guest room, but Stirl stood up abruptly, expression unreadable. The next second, he said to the man, coldly, leave. Then he headed straight toward me. My patience evaporated. Stirl was like a hyena, always chasing whatever reminded him most of Michael. I moved to shut the door, but he blocked it. He shoved me onto the bed, frustration radiating off him as he grabbed at my collar. Whose scent is this? Who were you with? Kaylin, did you cheat? It took me a moment to realize he must have picked up traces of the team leader. Then irritation surged. Yes, I cheated. Please, just let me go. Slap. My cheek went numb as it swelled. I knew it, he shouted. Michael warned me, you're fickle, unreliable. Tears burst out of me. I couldn't hold anything in anymore. My hand found a pen on the nightstand, and in a moment of panic and pure self-defense, I jabbed it toward his shoulder. He yelled, grabbed me, and hurled me aside. I hit the floor hard. Everything hurt, my body, my chest, my heart. It hurt to be alive. And then the pain drowned everything out. I passed out, blood blooming beneath me. I was transferred from the ICU to a regular ward. When I woke, my parents and Michael were there. Michael exploded the moment he saw me awake. Kaylin, how could you do something so cruel? You injured Stirl. Do you realize the consequences? My parents chimed in. He's helped our family so much. How could you treat him like that? Couples argue, but you went too far. It's our fault for not teaching you better. You will apologize to him, on your knees if you have to. I stared at these people, numb, then turned to the nurse adjusting my four. Could you please help me contact the Omega Protection Association? Thank you. The nurse nodded quickly, but Michael blocked her path. There's no need to involve outsiders, it's just family issues. Don't meddle. He looked threatening, so I closed my eyes, not wanting her dragged into this. Then, please call my workplace, I said softly. Tell them I need medical leave. I recited the number, and the nurse left. After that, I said nothing. No matter what accusations they threw at me, I kept my eyes shut. My mother ranted. How could I have a child like you? Stirl is your husband, couldn't you talk things out? He tolerates so much. Shouldn't you tolerate a little too? So you had a miscarriage. Do you know how much pain he's in? What if his family retaliates? You must earn his forgiveness. The door suddenly opened. Every voice went silent. I opened my eyes and saw the team leader standing at the door. A dozen thoughts flashed through me. Thank you for coming. Please help me contact the association. I may need extended leave. But what I said was, Kayleigh, help me. My eyes blurred. I hadn't cried since waking up, but now tears flooded my vision. I was at my limit. Someone, anyone, please help me. My family froze. Michael flushed when he saw Kayleigh. And you are? Kayleigh didn't even look his way. I don't converse with people below a certain academic level. It lowers my IQ. Michael went pale then green. Kayleigh stepped closer. I grabbed his wrist like it was the only solid thing in the world. Please, take me away. Don't cry. My parents and Michael immediately protested. Where are you taking him? Who are you? Put our son down. Kaylin, what's your relationship with this man? Are you having an affair? But they couldn't even get close. His bodyguards blocked them. Kaylee's carried me out and transferred me to a public hospital associated with the Omega Protection Association. I filed charges against Esterl, not just for divorce, but for domestic abuse and causing physical harm. I submitted all the evidence I'd collected over the past 3 years. The divorce went smoothly. Getting him sentenced, however, was difficult. Even as an illegitimate son, the Miller family still stepped in to protect their reputation. I expected this. If Kaylee's hadn't intervened, I wouldn't even have reached the association. My family would have stopped everything. I only had the courage to file the report because I joined Kaylee's research team. He had a temper, but he protected his own. Late at night, I couldn't sleep. I sat on the windowsill. The door opened, counting stars. Get down. I didn't move. Why are you here? That's my business. Down. I slid off the sill. Stop. I froze, unsure what I'd done wrong. He strode over, scooped me up like I weighed nothing, and placed me on the bed. My toes curled. Sorry. He snorted softly. At least you know how to take care of yourself. Work on that. I realized my crime was staying up late. Kaylee's pulled the blanket over me and lit the sleep incense. You must be underworked. Too much spare brainpower. That's why you can't sleep. Recover well. Once you're healed, you're coming back to the institute to work like a mule. I inhaled sharply. Great, no future to look forward to. He tapped the blanket and added, we've already moved the snow jelly project to phase 2. Once you recover, you can undergo the scent mark removal procedure. It won't be painful. Don't worry. My grip tightened on the blanket. I looked at him. He looked tired. You've been pushing the project forward, because of me? Why? I dedicate my life to biological research. I pouted, believing him but not wanting to admit it. That sounds so pretentious. Fine. Then I'm doing it for the happiness of all Omegas. Even my hair is at their service. I glanced at his still very full hair. You're not an Omega. No Alpha truly understands Omegas. But Kaylee said, I'm an Alpha. Caring for and protecting Omegas is instinct. I had never heard anyone say that. If it were true, how could someone like Esterl treat me the way he did? After a long pause, I asked softly, so, in your eyes, I'm just another Omega? You help me because I'm one? Kaylee's lips curved. No, I help you because you're brilliant. You're a rare talent in life sciences. If you want me to say that, go ahead. Sleep, you can dream of whatever you like. I closed my eyes. With someone beside me, I expected to stay awake. But I drifted quickly. Just as I was about to fall asleep completely, I heard his voice, low and almost gentle. I'm helping you because you're you. You don't need any label to deserve care. Good night, Kaylin. The door opened and closed. He left, and I was wide awake again. Do I deserve to be loved? I honestly don't know. My parents didn't love me. My ex-husband didn't either. When Esterl's case was finally judged, my parents accepted a private settlement behind my back. The first call I received after he left the detention center came from him, his voice dark and chilling. Kaylin, you'll never escape me. Then his tone twisted, disturbingly casual. You cheated and I cheated. We're even. No need to complain. And yes, you lost the baby, but you attacked me first. I won't hold it against you. Come back. Let's try for another child. His voice dipped into a coaxing murmur. A shiver crawled up my spine. The phone trembled in my hand. The thought of living the rest of my life under that shadow weighed on me like a collapsing sky. I didn't want that life. The day I was discharged, I didn't go home. I had nowhere to go. So I masked my face and walked toward the Miller Group building, slipping in with the employees. Without an access card, I took the stairs, 19 floors up. I stepped onto the rooftop and loosened my fingers. Sheets of A4 paper scattered into the wind, 3 years' worth of evidence against Esterl, along with the court ruling, drifting down toward the crowds gathering below. People pointed upward, whispering. Security reached me first. Don't come closer, I said quietly. If you do, I'll step off. All right, just stay calm, one of them said. We can talk. I want to see Finrick Miller, not Esterl, the legitimate eldest son of the Miller family. He happened to be in the building and quickly arrived. He kept a composed expression as he asked, You wanted to see me? Tell me what you need. I can authorize things. Just come down. I shook my head. I'm not here to make demands. I'm here to make a proposal. If I jump, you'll have a perfect reason to end Esterl's career. And if it's not too much trouble, maybe someone could keep Michael from walking for a while. I'd be grateful, wherever I end up. Finrick paled, sweat gathering on his forehead. We can handle everything with you alive. Please, step away from the edge. Can you? I didn't believe it. The Miller family patriarch would bury everything. Only something dramatic could force change. I stepped back. Just before gravity took me. Footsteps, quick and urgent, echoed behind me. Kalen. It was Kaylee's. I froze. He was my supervisor. Should I hand over my unfinished work before dying? Don't stand there, he said softly. Come down, please. He looked tired, scruff on his jaw, dark circles under his eyes. The snow jelly experiment succeeded. He took slow, careful steps toward me. I wasn't avoiding you. The experiment hit a crucial stage. I had to stay in the lab. I wanted it to succeed sooner, so you could be free sooner. For once, there was no harshness in his voice. I smiled faintly. Thank you, Kaylee's, but it's too late. I don't need it anymore. You do. Your wishes, I can help make them real, but only if you live. I stared. Why would I need anything? All my life, the only way to get what I wanted was to obey, to perform, to earn it. He paused. Fine. Then give me your life. In exchange, I'll make your wishes come true. Your life, and its decisions, belong to me. I'll make sure Esterl faces real consequences, and your family will learn what responsibility means. I believed him. Deal. He lifted me away from the ledge. His grip was firm enough to sting, but I didn't complain. A deal was a deal. I was his responsibility now. A part of me thought he was taking the losing end, because I still didn't want to live, but I didn't say that. My parents were right. I wasn't a noble person. Kaylee's had connections throughout the academic and medical fields far deeper than I'd imagined. Esterl's case was reopened and treated as a severe precedent. He was sentenced to 20 years. He was also completely disowned by the Miller family, no protection, no reputation, no influence. For the rest of his life, he would have to live cautiously, quietly. Apparently he had a bad accident inside, the machines caught his leg and arm. Kaylee's brushed my hair lightly. Your therapist is waiting. Inside, an Omega doctor received me with a gentle smile. After 2 hours of talking, the tightness in my chest loosened. When I stepped out, Kaylee's was still waiting. I stayed in the hospital to rest. The next day was my scent mark cleansing procedure. Before I entered the operating room, Kaylee's told me. One more bit of good news. Michael was in a car accident today. Both legs severely injured. I couldn't help it. I actually smiled as I walked into the OR. Why did I want Michael's legs broken? Maybe because of what happened my second year after presenting. He pushed me down the stairs, from the 3rd floor. I fell 2 levels, fracturing my left leg and right ankle. A concussion, bruising everywhere. I lay in a hospital bed, every part of me hurting, while my parents hovered over him. Daddy knows you didn't mean it, Michael. It was just an accident. We're not mad. Don't cry, sweetheart. Dad will buy you the limited edition sneakers you like. Yes, don't cry, Mom's heart is breaking. No one asked if I was alright. The doctor said I almost died. Why did no one care? Why was the one who hurt me being comforted? Even after anesthesia wore off, my mind replayed everything. When I finally opened my eyes, they felt sore, like I had cried for hours. The first thing I saw, a phone pointed at me. Behind it, Kaylee's. You look like a drenched frog, he said. Hideous. Before he lowered the phone, I heard the shutter sound. Delete it, I snapped. Oh, giving me orders now. Let's be clear, you obey me. I'm your supervisor, and technically the holder of your physical well-being. Mind your tone. My lips trembled. Tears welled up again. Hey, seriously? Don't cry, don't cry. Fine, I'll delete it. You jerk. Did your experiment even work? Why does my neck hurt? A month later, I was discharged and officially returned to the research institute. 3 months had passed. It felt like a lifetime. The moment I stepped inside, confetti exploded. Congratulations to our institute's flower, welcome back. Congrats on being single again. Hey, Institute flower, what about giving me a chance? An alpha winked dramatically. I knew he was joking and couldn't help laughing. Why do they call him the Institute flower? Someone asked. Right then, Kaylee stepped out of his office, and the entire room fell silent. The alpha who had winked quickly hid his confetti cannon. Ahem, well, because Kaylin's good-looking. We privately voted him our Institute flower. Then who's the Institute grass? Kaylee's asked, surprisingly amused. Everyone relaxed. Boss, the Institute grass is the alpha from the next department. Kaylee's narrowed his eyes. Not me, none of you voted for me. His gaze swept the room. Everyone ducked their heads like scolded quails. To be fair, his looks and physique did outmatch the so-called Institute grass. I blinked. Sir, last time we voted you weren't back at headquarters yet. Exactly. You weren't here, someone echoed. Whether it was being back, or surviving the storm, I felt lighter than ever. For the first time, I worked without a weight on my chest. My efficiency soared. I even left work at 6 like a normal person. But the moment I stepped out of the institute, I saw the last people I wanted to see. My parents were waiting at the gate. I walked toward them. "What are you doing here?" As always, they didn't disappoint. "Kaylin, are you seriously this ungrateful? Your brother is hurt and you didn't even bother to visit him. Kaylin, tell me the truth. Who was that man who took you away that day? Did you tell someone to hit your brother with a car?" Their accusations bored me. Clearly, they didn't come here only to scold me or ask pointless questions. "What do you actually want?" My father looked like he was ready to explode, but my mother tugged his sleeve. After exchanging a glance, she finally spoke. "Your brother is still in the hospital. Give him some money for medical expenses." A humorless laugh escaped me. "No, how can you be like this? Do you believe I won't make a scene at your research institute?" My father snapped. I felt nothing, no fear, no anger. "Do you know how much I spent during my own hospitalization? The treatment after the miscarriage, recovery expenses, the mark removal procedure. Do you know how much all of that cost?" Both of them fell silent. "Of course you don't. You never cared. So I'll tell you, my savings are gone. Every cent. I have nothing left. I can't pay for Michael." My mother hesitated before saying softly, "I heard your institute can offer loans to researchers. You could borrow some for your brother. He's really not doing well." My eyes turned cold. "No. From now on, whatever happens to him has nothing to do with me. Before you turn 60, unless it's a major emergency, I won't help. And when you're old, I'll support you only at the minimum basic standard." Before they could explode again, I continued, "Because that's exactly how you raised me. All through high school, I wore your son's old clothes. I lived on stale cafeteria bread. The way you raised me is exactly how I'll take care of you." I didn't wait for their reaction. I turned and walked across the street toward Kaylee's. My parents looked as if they wanted to follow, but once they saw him, their steps stopped immediately. I got into the passenger seat and muttered, "Cowards who only pick on the weak." Kaylee's glanced at me. "How do you know I'm strong? Have you tested it?" My hand slipped, and the seatbelt retracted. I stared at him. Did he seriously just say that to me? Didn't hear it clearly. "I can say more. You can get used to it." He leaned over to fasten my seatbelt for me. My face warmed instantly. "Do you know why I wanted the title, Campus Grass?" he asked lightly. "Because campus grass and campus flower sound good together." He didn't pull back right away. Instead, he brushed close enough to catch a hint of my scent. "You smell better now." My cheeks grew even hotter. "Why blush?" he teased. "Didn't you already promise your whole self to me? Tonight, I'll check the quality." "You're impossible." "Thank you for the compliment." Kaylee's side story. After spending enough years stirring up trouble in the Southwest branch, I transferred back to headquarters, planning to take it easy and quietly build seniority. I expected boredom. What I didn't expect was to meet a very unique Omega on my first day. Unique because he smelled terrible. There was a sharp, burnt tequila bitterness clinging to him, a scent that only appeared when an Omega had been overwhelmed by an Alpha for too long. Even suppressants couldn't cover it. Normally, I wouldn't care, but something about this Omega made me pause. He was pale and thin, like someone who had been worn down for years, which made no sense. Someone this bright, this striking, should have been the kind of Omega Alphas lined up to protect, not damage. And this was the capital, the core of Omega protection laws. At first, I didn't interfere. Still, beneath the harsh alcohol-like bitterness on him, I sensed another fragrance, one drowned beneath someone else's pheromones, impossible to identify. Until the business trip to the mountains. Inside a quiet cave, with no one else around, I finally caught it. A scent like unripe lemon, sharp, sour, faintly bitter, and inexplicably addictive. I found myself leaning close while he slept, drawn in despite myself. But he was a married Omega, and even I have a thin line of restraint left, so I kept my distance. Then we discovered he was unusually sensitive to my pheromones, so sensitive he became our most reliable living detector for locating the snow jellyfish, which meant I had to spend even more time alone with him. When we returned to the institute, he kept missing work. For a moment, I thought he'd sensed my interest and was trying to run from it. But 3 days later, I received a call. He was taking medical leave due to a miscarriage. Something was wrong. I went to the hospital immediately, and when he looked at me with tear-filled eyes and begged me to save him, my mind went blank for a second. Blank, then burning. After hearing everything he'd been through, I calmed him and told him to rest. The doctor explained that his gland had been suppressed for so long that its condition was poor. If he divorced, he'd need a mark cleansing surgery soon. But because his match rate with his spouse was extremely high, the procedure would be painful. So I worked day and night to accelerate the snow jellyfish project. But on the very day it succeeded, he stepped onto the rooftop. Kaylin was thin, almost fragile, his skin pale like a sheet of paper. Yet his posture was sharp as a blade, refusing to bend. Because the handling of Estural's case had been unjust, he was ready to risk everything to claim justice for himself. He didn't need to. I pulled him back and offered him a promise. I would give him everything he wanted, if he agreed to stay alive. I knew what he was doing. He was betting on my intentions. Someone as clever as him could easily read me. The Life Sciences Institute's requirements are brutal, yet he fought his way through countless alpha and beta candidates to earn his offer. Then his results earned him a place in my research group. It wouldn't take a genius to notice I cared about him. He had nothing, no background, no support, no leverage. So when he sensed I could be the one card in his hand, he held onto it without hesitation. He bet that I would help him, and I will make sure he wins.
What a journey this story takes us on. At its core, it's not just a tale about designations like Omega, Beta, or Alpha, it's a story about identity, neglect, and the quiet strength of someone who's been overlooked his whole life. What struck me the most was how the novel portrays Kalen's suffering. It's subtle, almost calm on the surface, but underneath, it's devastating. The author does an excellent job showing how cruelty doesn't always come from dramatic violence. Sometimes it's built from years of silence, favoritism, and emotional manipulation. Those early chapters, especially the scenes with his family, are some of the strongest in the book. They feel real. They hurt in a way that lingers. But what I appreciate even more is the contrast. When Kayles enters the story, the tone shifts. Not because he saves Kalen, but because the narrative finally allows Kalen to breathe. Their dynamic is sharp, intelligent, and sometimes even darkly funny. It gives the story a kind of balance, pain on one side, growth on the other. If I had to point out a weakness, I'd say the pacing near the climax is a little rushed. Kalen's emotional collapse and the rooftop scene are powerful, but they come so fast that we barely get time to sit with the weight of everything he's endured. A bit more internal monologue there could have made the moment even more impactful. But overall, what makes this novel stand out is its message, that care, respect, and dignity are not privileges, they are rights. Kalen's journey isn't about finding a perfect alpha, it's about learning that he deserves better, and that survival itself can be an act of rebellion. Now I want to know what you think. Which moment hit you the hardest? Do you believe Kayles is a good match for Kalen, or do you see their relationship differently? And what would you do if you were in Kalen's position?